Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Dana Villa from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Over 3,000 people have died and many have been injured in Morocco due to a severe earthquake that rocked the central part of the North African country. This has triggered international relief operations and a response from Christian groups like Convoy of Hope and Operation Rescue, among others. According to media estimates, the 6.8 magnitude earthquake's epicenter was in the High Atlas Mountains, roughly 45 miles southwest of Marrakesh, making it the country's largest earthquake in 120 years. Meanwhile, Archbishop Peter Chong-Sun-Tik of Seoul, South Korea, has sent a letter to the Diocese of Rabat in Morocco to express deep sorrow and condolences for the loss of lives and property. International leaders have expressed their sympathies and pledged support in Morocco. Thousands of people are feared dead after a powerful storm triggered devastating flooding in Libya. Authorities in eastern Libya said that over 2,800 people were killed and thousands more were missing after a massive flood ripped through the city of Derna following a heavy storm and rain. Storm Daniel made landfall on Sunday, prompting authorities to declare a state of extreme emergency, closing schools, stores, and imposing a curfew. Libya's parliament declared 3 days of mourning. Search and rescue operations are ongoing, and thousands are missing. 4 major oil ports in Libya, Ras Lanuf, Zuetina, Brega, and Es Sidra, were closed for 3 days since Saturday evening. A Christian couple in Nigeria was killed and 6 others were abducted in Taraba State on Sunday. The Taraba State Police Command's spokesman, Abdullahi Usman, confirmed both the kidnappings and the murder of the couple. In a press release, Usman said the gunmen entered the home of the victims by scaling the fence. They abducted others in addition to killing the homeowners, Balanco Alex and his wife. According to the 2023 World Watch List report from persecution watchdog Open Doors, Nigeria had the highest number of Christians killed worldwide and had the second highest number of church attacks and internally displaced persons in 2022. In the U.S. state of Michigan, Catholic Healthcare International is poised to win a protracted lawsuit seeking permission to set up a prayer trail and display the Stations of the Cross on a 40-acre wooded plot owned by the organization. The healthcare advocacy group applied for a special use permit to construct a 6,000-foot chapel apart from a walking trail having various religious symbols on display, but the Genoa Charter Township denied permission. It also ordered Catholic Healthcare to remove all religious symbols from the plot of the land. U.S. District Judge Shalina Kumar dismissed a portion of the lawsuit that sought relief under the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act in December 2022. The case was argued before a 3-judge panel in July. U.S. Circuit Judge Raymond Keflage called Kumar's decision as, quote, plainly mistaken, end quote, in Monday's opinion. In a new report, the Catholic Medical Association of America has stated that the so-called gender ideology is causing significant harm to children and adolescents. The report, entitled "The Ideology of Gender Harms Children," was released at its 92nd annual conference in Phoenix, Arizona. Gender ideology professes that biological sex does not determine a person and each person can define their sexual orientation and identity according to their preferences, even against their nature. The association's president, Dr. Craig Treptow, said that the American medical establishment speaks from a place of medicine based on eminence rather than evidence-based medicine. He added that they are speaking again to prevent further harm to children and to give courage to those seeking a voice in medicine. Co-chair of the CMA Ethics Committee, Dr. Greg Burke, said that the document confirms the irrefutable reality of human biology and contrasts with current cultural trends that ignore it. Pope Francis greeted the Catholicos of the Indian Orthodox Church, His Beatitude Basilios Martoma Matthews III, during his visit to the Vatican on Monday, September 11. In a speech, the Pope thanked the Catholicos of the Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church based in South India and his accompanying delegation for their deepening friendship since the Second Vatican Council. He also drew attention to the previous encounters between their respective predecessors. On the other hand, the Catholicos highlighted the significance of dialogue and reflected on the teachings of Pope Francis in his encyclical Fratelli Tutti. He also extended heartfelt invitations for further collaboration and understanding between the two churches. The Holy Father expressed optimism for unity while recognizing the ancient faith of the Malankara Orthodox Syrian Church, which follows the Antiochian Liturgy. The Holy See has announced the details of the ordinary public consistory, which will take place on September 30 at the Vatican. During the event, Pope Francis will announce 21 new cardinals. It will be the prelude to the Synod of Synodality, which will bring bishops and the faithful from all over the world in Rome throughout the month of October. At 10 a.m. local time, Pope Francis will preside over the consistory at St. Peter's Basilica, during which he will create 18 new cardinals with the right to vote and 3 who will not be able to take part in a future conclave. The Holy Father will place the red color biretta on each cardinal along with the ring and will give them their title. Following the ceremony, courtesy visits will be made to the new cardinals. On October 4th, Pope Francis will preside over Holy Mass in the Vatican Basilica along with the new cardinals. The head of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church presided over a divine liturgy at St. Peter's Basilica on Sunday, September 10th, during which he prayed for an end to the conflict in Ukraine. Major Archbishop Sviatoslav Shevchuk said that he wanted to thank Pope Francis and Catholics worldwide for supporting Ukraine during its darkest days. The liturgy, that was attended by about 2,500 Ukrainians, was part of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church's annual Synod of Bishops being held in Rome from September 3 to 13. Former prefect of the Dicastery for Eastern Catholic Churches, Cardinal Leonardo Sandri, also took part in the Divine Liturgy. The Mexican Bishops' Conference has voiced concern over the Supreme Court of Justice of the nation's recent judgment decriminalizing abortion. The bishops asserted firmly that every human life, regardless of its circumstances or future consequences, has inherent worth from conception until natural death. The bishops highlighted that the Supreme Court's ruling did not force state legislators to legalize abortion under their respective penal codes. The bishops warned that society cannot wash its hands by eliminating the weakest, the nascent person. They also called for creating the best conditions to welcome life and not throw it away. The Vatican House of Sport will be blessed and inaugurated on September 20th by Cardinal Jose Tolentino de Mendoza, prefect of the Dicastery for Culture and Education. It will be essentially the operational seat of the Vatican's official multi-sports association, Atletica Vaticana. A statement from the Dicastery said the operational headquarters in Trastevere is to be put at the disposal of the world of sports as a crossroads of encounters between athletes in their uniqueness, with special attention to the most fragile. The statement announcing the inauguration also notes how important this dynamic is now more than ever in a world torn by wars, tensions, divisions, and fear. The European Council has decided to place sanctions on 6 individuals who are responsible for gross human rights violations in the Russian Federation and in Ukraine territories annexed by Moscow. The group of people placed under sanctions includes prosecutors and judges of courts established by Russia in annexed Crimea. They have been accused of taking part in politically motivated court proceedings against Ladislav Yespenko, a journalist who was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and Crimean Tatar Nariman Helyalov. The list of individuals also includes 2 members of the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation who are accused of either torturing Yespenko or conducting the probe against him and the members of the Crimean Tatar community. At present, around 67 people and 20 entities have been sanctioned by the European Union under the global human rights sanctions regime. The sanctions come up with asset freeze in the mandate that EU citizens and firms do not make funds available to them. The United Nations Human Rights Chief told the Human Rights Council on Monday, September 11, that the political and democratic reforms have not materialized in Sri Lanka despite the mass uprising last year seeking changes. Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights Nada al-Nashif urged the Sri Lankan authorities to expedite the probe and prosecution regarding the cases of human rights violations, especially those related to the Easter Sunday bombings. Al-Nashif said the probes should comply with international human rights standards. Her comments come in the wake of repeated calls to the government to establish an independent investigation into the suicide bomb attacks that left 269 people dead and 500 injured. Meanwhile, the president of Sri Lanka has said that he would appoint a committee chaired by a retired Supreme Court justice to probe the allegations in a UK TV report that the island nation's intelligence was complicit in the suicide bomb attacks. The United Nations Food Security Agency on Monday has launched an emergency response plan to provide essential support to Sudanese communities struggling with the effects of the ongoing civil war. The Food and Agriculture Organization will distribute seeds, livestock treatment kits, and veterinary support to enhance crop production and seed diversification in the conflict-hit country. The initiative is slated to meet the cereal requirement of up to 19 million people for the 2023 harvest as per estimates of the FAO. The organization's representative in Sudan, Hongji Yang, said millions are facing a battle for survival as the food security is worsening. This emergency response plan aims to provide farming, herding, and fishing families with the basics they need to ensure that production goes on. The conflict between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has displaced 5.1 million people and exacerbated the food crisis. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.